There is one other thing I want to say, which is I watched BBC News yesterday, and again, they called, it was about Tommy Robinson, and they said, we're going to talk about the interviews that they had, and just how they presented it. The far right activist known for um, uh, what's it, criminal, I can't remember the exact words, but it was something like known for outrageous behavior, or criminal, what's it, known for bad language, and has got multiple arrests out for him. Come on, can't he? If this was true and this was an actual attack on Tommy Robinson, can't Tommy Robinson sue the BBC for defamation? Because that entrance was just a clear insight to wanting people to hate him. Not the far activist who's done such an the not the activist who's done such an amazing job in building up such a massive crowd to go and do the world's largest protest. You can present people in two different ways. You can present them in a nice way, and you can present them in a nasty way. And that was a nasty way. You presented him in a very nasty way by pointing out that there's all these allegations, not because maybe he's actually got a cause. And if someone's attacking nasty people, they're probably going to have loads of things out there. Why? Because people who attack nasty people might find that these nasty people try and attack back, but they use the courts and they use the system to try and to try and blow up the situation, to try and make themselves look like the victim, to try and gain compensation money, to try and gain sympathy from the public. If someone is attacking nasty people and has a genuine cause, then I think it's completely wrong to just focus on the fact that there are people that have got who are suing him. I mean, of course, there are people that are suing them because nasty people like to sue people. They don't want to handle it themselves. They want to bully. Nasty people are bullies who like to bully people, and then there's no better way of bullying someone through courts, through the legal system, through getting up a crowd of people to think that he's a racist or a wife beater or whatever like this. And therefore, if he's attacking nasty people, of course, this is all going to be the truth. So why is the BBC? Why did the BBC present him in such a way? I like Tommy. I see him as actually my hero because of what he's doing. Islam is a terrible is a terrible religion, and it's going to incite violence. And I hate all Muslims. He keeps saying, I'm attacking Islam, I'm not attacking Muslims. But Muslims are people who choose to worship Islam. They're people who don't see any faults in Muhammad, who don't see any faults in Islam. And they just think, how beautiful it is, even though it's actually very ugly. It's an ugly religion with ugly beliefs that are not true. Their view on what a martyr is just completely false. You're not a martyr because you've drowned. That's ridiculous. You're not a martyr because you've got some sort of stomach disease. You're not a martyr because you've got cancer. This does not make you a martyr. And so anything that is in Islam it's just not the truth. And if you're a Muslim, you're basically saying that I'm someone who doesn't care about the truth because I'm just going to worship this because I'm an Arab-looking person, and Muhammad's an Arab-looking person, and I don't care about what he did or what he was like, and if the book is true or not, or whether he's a man of God. I don't care if God. I don't want to look into the information about what it is, because I'm just going to call myself educated for calling that the truth. There's some. That's what Muslims are, and the good Muslims are people that just don't know anything about what it is, and they're not good Muslims because they're ignorant. They don't realise that there is terrorism that is grown from this. You can be killed for speaking out against this religion. Now, how can anyone support that? Oh yes, you've insulted Muhammad, you deserve to die, but I'm a good person. Yeah, Muhammad married a 6-year-old, but I'm a good person because there's nothing wrong with marrying a 6-year-old, and I'm a good person because I'm a Muslim, and I'm educated, even though the book that I'm writing says that God is all great, all merciful, can do everything. And yeah, there's loads of gardens starving in Palestine, but yeah, God can do everything, and God chooses not to because I'm a good person, and I don't give a shit what God is doing or what the truth is. This is what it is. It's a religion full of absolute nonsense. And there is no such thing as a good Muslim because these are ignorant people who have chosen to believe lies and stuff. And it's just... And then to attack people for attacking the religion, you should attack the religion because the religion isn't truth, and then to have BBC side with him, but use defamation to put down his character, to put down his. I mean, if the BBC knows that Tommy Robinson does actually have a genuine cause for concern, and they're just trying to make him look bad because they don't want Muslims to think that he's being respected. I want Islam to exist. Why? Because I am God and I made it exist. But I made it exist so that my people who are smart can see that these people are not good people. They might call themselves good people. They might hide behind good people, but they are people that have no interest in God, no interest in looking at the truth, no interest in facts or wanting to know what the truth is. They're just people that say, I'm an Arab and I'm going to worship the Arab guy. That's all it is. And they lie and say that, this isn't the truth, and we love the religion because why? When I think of beauty, I think of gardens. I think of pretty things like gardens and nice houses and stuff. I think of the West. I think of the things that we have in the West, but they're slowly being destroyed and eroded by people coming into the society and saying that we're all sluts and whores and slags and making us want to be sluts and whores and slags. Why? Because we hate them and we don't give a shit what they think, because there's this sort of divide growing. I'd rather be a slut and a whore than someone that worships a book written by a paedophile. I mean, that's this is the divide that's being grown, and there's nothing wrong with being a slut and a whore, but there is something wrong with attacking someone for being a slut. Okay, there's something wrong with being a slut and a whore if you're getting diseases and you're going to find your health is going to fall apart because of getting diseases. Muslims believe that if a woman's raped, it's her fault. So a slut and a whore is actually could just be a victim who's been raped by people. They don't understand this. They don't understand the concept that if you've had a shitty life, sometimes you might fall into prostitution because you don't want to spend, 10 hours a day going beep 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 with shopping with beeping, with being a shopping counter, beep beep beep. They don't want to do that, so they've done something else, and it's hard to get a job and stuff, and they don't seem to understand. They don't want to understand. They just say our religion is beautiful and our book is the word of God, and it's not. But yeah, I don't know. I would like to talk to. I feel like I hate everyone. Okay, seeing the King give Donald Trump such an amazing welcome. Okay, it's nice because I'm talking about the importance of wanting to unite Britain with America. Britain is America's roots, and the tribes, the troops that came from Britain went to America, and this is how America was formed. And okay, of course, America wanted their independence. Of course, the King fought tried to fight against that. I mean, technically, if that would have been me, I would have been like, right, I'm going to send my kids there, and you're going to have a new monarchy, and you're going to. I'll get to keep the country. Well, technically I won't. It'll be my kids that keep it, but I'll send my kids. That's what, if Queen Victoria would have been alive at that time, she would have sent her kids off to America, put all her kids in different states, and probably got her kids to have more kids, and then use those in different states. And she would have set up a monarchy in USA, and the countries would have been united. So on one hand, I like the ceremony because it kind of reminded me of joining with America, which is kind of what I want. But on the other hand, it was sad. You get the good and bad and everything, but the negative it was just like, I never got that welcome. I found out I was God in 2013. I was ignored. No one talked to me. No one spoke to me. I tried to talk to clients because I was trying to stop my massage, and I did. But then I didn't have any money, and I had a couple of clients that were people who I saw from before, and none of them cared. None of them give a shit about my religion. Most of them were Islamic or Asian. Massage draws in a lot of these people, but yeah, no one cared, and to think that people are getting these such nice welcomes, and yeah, I'm getting absolutely nothing. It's not nice, and it makes me think that I don't even want to welcome. If King Charles wanted to have this big ceremony and welcome me, I'd stick my finger up in him and walk away, because I would be like, this is 13 years too late. You should have done this to me 13 years ago and you didn't. So I now want nothing to do with them, and I want to sort out the fucked up country, and the problem is there's too many fucked up people in this world. That is the problem. You know, if the court systems really are this bad, and they're taking up cases of small hits that were nothing, or small cases where a boy got water shoved in his mouth, a bit of water squirted in his mouth, and you're going to court and wasting everyone's time, wasting taxpayers' money on ridiculous stuff, and yet the girl that got an actual black eye, an actual physical, physical mark on her, she gets accused in this report of being a liar. Like what the fuck? You've got evidence that this person was literally hurt and literally damaged, and what the water caused no harm, no, and especially if the boy who squirted water said that this guy was threatening to beat up his kids. You don't know this story. You can't just watch a 5-second clip and think you know both sides of the story. You don't. And so I don't know what's going on in the courts, but this seeing that has actually angered me, because it's making me feel like the whole court system is a complete joke, and you've obviously got some incredibly big morons that just want to pick and choose sides. And if you've got the BBC also wanting to attack people and put people in jail for trying to expose the side that they're not showing, then this is just, there's so much corruption here, and it's made me want to turn against the BBC. It's made me want to turn against the courts. It's made me want to turn against the government, and now I feel like I need to turn against the king too, because he's given this massive warm welcome to someone else again, whilst I'm just being ignored. And okay, I like it, but I don't, because it's just the number of problems that I've faced in the last 13 years is just more and more and more, and I have no evidence that anyone in this world gives a shit about me, because no one's talking to me. If you gave a shit about me, you'd be talking to me, you'd be telling me what's going on, you'd be telling me why you're ignoring me, and you wouldn't be ignoring me. I've been talking about anti-Islamic things for a very long time, and I've always said that I don't like Islam and that I want nothing to do with it, and this religion has nothing to do with me. So why are you treating these people like they're equal? Your whole Christian religion was to help God and help people see the truth. And if people reject God, then you leave them alone. You don't start welcoming in this country and giving them lots of free benefits and start helping them and stuff. And this is divide. There is a divide here, and you haven't recognised that, and it just feels like people don't care. People don't care at all, and it's just, I'm complaining about a lot of things. And I don't know how to solve this problem, because it's too late. I don't want to now immigrate anywhere. I want a nice house, and then I want to cut myself off from the rest of the world, and then I want the world to realise that I'm God through all the real evidence that is shown through it. And then when they start seeking me and wanting to know me, I'm just going to tell them to go fuck off, because you never wanted to do this before. You only want to know me now that you've seen the proof. But when I was trying to show people the proof, no one was interested, because you were all too busy thinking I'm too busy living my life that I don't give a shit about the person that made me. That's what you were all thinking. That's everyone here has failed me, betrayed me, and I do not care about them. I want to die, and then I want a big massive problem to happen, and I'm going to be like, well, you should have given a shit about me when I was alive, because you didn't. I'm not going to care about you. I don't think the world is going to heading in the right path. Why? Because I hate too many people, and I'm not going to be helping anyone, because no one helped me, and I've had to live like this for such a long time, and it's just annoying. And it's the 20th now of September, and there's a high chance that my rapture could happen on the 23rd, but I didn't get my 40-day warning. I thought there'd be a clear 40-day warning. This is what's going to happen. And my friend taking me to that hotel almost felt like a warning, but that was 40 days after that was actually the 16th, so that wasn't a 40-day warning. I don't know what that was about, but yeah, if he's right that Secret Services genuinely have no interest in me whatsoever, then that's why you're not much of a Secret Service. But then again, I guess it's part, if it's secret, then maybe he doesn't know that is part of. But I don't know. I know my birthday is on Good Friday next year, and that's supposed to be when Christ comes off the cross. So I guess if nothing happens on the 20th, if nothing happens by the end of the month, then I'm guessing it's going to be another couple of months. PIP helps. Knowing that I've got PIP helps because I feel like I can spend money, but I'm so depressed that the idea of just walking, there's shops in the restaurants in Birmingham are shit. There's one spaghetti bolognese place that's like £17 for a spaghetti bolognese. I remember the days where spaghetti bolognese used to be £4 even, and now it's £16. That just sounds too much, and so I could go to somewhere else. But a lot of the restaurants just kind of look like they've just got like some sort of takeaway meal or got some ready cook meal and then just cooked it and then just served it. Some of the restaurants here in Birmingham just seem like that, like they just taken something you can buy in a shop for £2 or £3 and then they try to sell it for £10-12, which is, I guess you have to make money from it, but the idea of sitting in a restaurant by myself is just really depressing. And I want to be taken somewhere. I want people, a group of people who know that I'm God, to be like, you know what, we're going to treat you like a god because that's what you are, or a princess, or treat me well and take me places. And the idea of just going by myself places is just so uninspiring. So it's not even having money to do that. If I had money to do that, I don't like doing that because I have to look at humans everywhere I go and just be reminded about how no one gives a shit about me because I'm always on my own and have no friends and can't have any friends because any friend that I do have just thinks that I'm a bit crazy when it comes to my religion. How can I have friends when I know I'm God and yet none of my friends believe this and they just think that I'm just, I don't know, imaginative or something, you know. That's not a friend. A friend is someone who knows who you are and accepts who you are and doesn't expect you to belittle yourself just to for them to accept you. And yeah, I don't know what's going on with the BBC. If it turns out that the BBC are only just playing down this march and just making it look like people just want to wave flags, you know, if they're doing that because they don't want to upset the Islamic community, an Islamic community that is actually slowly being killed. You know, I noticed there was actually less Islamic people yesterday and the day before. In my gym, the last 2 times I went, in both times there was quite a lot of sort of English, British looking women there. And that was strange because the 2 times I went before, there was quite a lot of Asian-looking women, and the numbers seem to be getting down, but I don't know if that means anything. Maybe they're just, I don't know, but I don't, you know, I find actually a lot of Islamic people actually have a really bad energy to them. I genuinely find that a lot of Asian women either have this, I'm so small, I'm so cute, like a sort of shyness. There's some Asian women that have that wear veils, that have this sort of very, you know, I'm just going to let a man make all the decisions, and I hate that. I hate these type of people. Women who just think that their only purpose in life is to serve a man and to have babies with him. I mean, I think you have to be incredibly mindless to be like that, and I don't like you. I think you need to be strong and independent and learn to do things yourself and you know, strong people. I like strong people. If you encourage half the population to be all weak and feeble, you're only going to be encouraging them to just live off the state and live off the benefit system if their relationship falls, which it probably will do. That, or they're going to end up being beaten up by their partner, because a lot of Islamic men have this sort of view that they can do whatever they want. Now, if a lot of Islamic people are in their first or second life, you know, they're going to be violent because they were an animal fairly recently, and their animal tendencies will start to shine every time they get angry. If rent is very high and they can't make enough money to pay the bills, they might find that they can't fulfill their duty as a man, and then they're going to get angry and take it out on their partner, even though their duty as a man should actually be to not beat up their partner, but they don't see it like that because they see their partners as being less than them, and you know, and it says in their Quran that they can beat up a woman with a slipper or flipper or something, and of course they're going to take it out. They're going to start going over the top if they're drunk or whatever, you know. I know they're not supposed to drink, but there's a lot of things they don't listen to when it comes to the Quran, and it's just, you know, I find Islamic people have a very bad energy. You know, they cover themselves because they think by covering themselves they're modest and decent and they're better than others because they're modest and decent. So if you don't cover yourself, you're not modest, you're not like them, you're not equal to them, you're not following God's laws. And if you're not following God's laws, then you can look down on them. And this is the whole thing about Islamic beliefs. You know, it's their God is the only God, their truth, and they don't seem to recognize that actually these Westerners are not just lowlifes. We're not just drunken lowlifes. We're people that want to have a good life. And you're not having a good life because you're revolving your whole life about what Allah wants, even though the God you serve is actually the exact opposite of what I am. And spiritually, you must know that. But because you are choosing that, I think you're choosing to just be the opposite of what God wants. And this is turning you into someone with a bad spirit. Oh my God, is it you? But yeah, I would love to talk to Tommy Robinson and ask him, does he actually care that BBC are turning against him, or do they know? Because you know he's got famous through making a video. I make loads of videos. No one watches my videos, so YouTube has done something to stop people from watching my videos. Now, if he's done something and he's got a huge amount of viewers, obviously the YouTube is the one that's controlling it. YouTube has put his videos all over the place so that people see it and people get attention from it, and then they've probably paid a bunch of people to support Tommy. So you know, whoever's done this isn't just Tommy, this is a bunch of people above them. Now if a bunch of people above them are actually the BBC, it might actually be that they are the BBC, but they've just said, you know what, we're going to divide it. We're going to have the people on YouTube who are going to be supportive of him, and then we're going to have the BBC, which is going to be for the people that aren't smart enough to know how to use their phones. You know, if the people at the top that have helped rise up Tommy have you know, are BBC and him actually against each other, or is this just like a puppet show for the audience? And I would like to know this question, because if this is just a puppet show for the audience, then I understand why Tommy Robinson wouldn't sue the BBC for defamation. If, however, this isn't a show for the public, then yeah, no. If it isn't a show, if it is a show, then I can understand why he wouldn't. If it is a show, then I can understand why he wouldn't. No. If it is a show, I can understand that he wouldn't be suing them. Why? Because he knows that this is what they're going to say, and he knows that actually by them turning against him, he's actually building up a bigger crowd, because he's only proving himself right, that the establishment is against him, and people don't want to follow the mainstream media if they're going to be full of lies. So BBC is losing their audience by insulting him. But maybe they don't care about losing their audience. Maybe they just want to focus on the sort of the general public that are a bit mindless, and maybe YouTube is making more money. Technically, companies are about money, and if YouTube can make more money because they're getting a much bigger audience, then and if people aren't really watching BBC any longer, then does it really matter if they lose a good portion of their audience because they start attacking or insulting someone's hero? You know, I don't know what's going on, but I'm keeping open-minded.